Welcome back to Close Encounters of the Tech Kind. I'm John. We're going to have a fantastic conversation this week. We're going to dive into AI, data centers, ID. Let's see. We're going to talk age verification. That's a big issue right now. I've got some concerns. I want to share those with you. ID theft versus ID required. What are the safeguards? What are the penalties if it's not safe? I want to know. AI data centers. We just got news on the one here in Cheyenne. It's going to be big. I want to talk about what's the next step in AI. And guys, I want to get your take on this one. Mac Minis, you can't get them anymore. Again, thanks to our brand new wonderful AI systems that are coming out. You can't get these systems anymore. Hard drives are also disappearing quick. There's a story about Toshiba kind of thumbing their nose at one of the customers. That's going to make you mad. TP-Link, they're trying to get their equipment certified with the government. Netgear already has. Is TP-Link next? And then we've got a follow-up to one of our stories. There's a new website, Have I Been Flocked? It's a cool story I got for you. Well, to have this conversation this week, we've got Mike.
Hey, everybody.
Mike's got a bit of experience with computers. He's started on the Commodore.
Age 6. It's been a few years.
More than a few. It's been more than a few for me. So we bring a little bit of expertise on watching these systems grow from putting the modem, the 1200 baud modem against your computer and watching it ring up. And then we got Jackson.
Hey, how's it going?
Jackson grew up with, you didn't say Nintendo. You said the what was your game system of choice?
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation.
Oh, 2.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I never had a 1. I've never played with a 1, but the 2s were quite prevalent. And the computers that I used were back when they were still eggshell white.
I remember the day Atari games were still on the shelf. You could go buy them from the store brand new, which in retrospect, I probably should have bought a bunch of them, but hey, nostalgia. You don't know what's nostalgic till you get to the other side of it.
Yeah, I don't even know what a shelf on a store is anymore.
Well, speaking of nostalgia, Artie, what nostalgia do you have for us this time?
I don't recollect much today. No, it's today is just one of those days that very much is not going well for me.
That's all right. We'll drag you along with this conversation, willing or not. So, welcome to the show. We're going to talk age verification. It's funny that you say there's no shelves, Jackson. Amazon kind of changed the game for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How did they do it?
By extorting their employees.
Step 1. What's step 2? Extort the vendors.
Fire all the employees and replace them with robots.
Yeah.
That's step 7. Although we're getting close to that, actually. The Beijing had a marathon this last week. And, yeah, robots won. It's that time. Get ready to buy a robot and replace it every 2 years because that's the new economics. But let's talk age verification, guys. You're not going to have a robot without proving you're an adult. And how do you prove you're an adult? Anyone?
Oh, I have an idea. Ooh, me.
Jackson in the blue in the back.
Send me a picture of your ID.
That's unfortunately where we're going with all this, right? It's an interesting time we live in where you have to submit all this information to prove you're who you say you are. and hope the system recognizes that and that it's secure from identity theft. These laws are moving too fast.
Well, I think the other side of this that we haven't really talked about too much on this show, I think we've focused a lot on how it's, these two are also very important aspects of this topic, but we've mainly talked about how, one, it's extremely unsafe to be sending ID, having that data be stored. You're using third parties to do all of the processing and validation. It's like that in and of itself is already a huge enough issue for it to be, out of the question for me. But then you bring in also the fact that there are ways to then get around it, so it's also just not even going to work. And then, but the third thing that I think we is worth discussing today is the fact that if a law like this goes into place, then we're basically forfeiting the ownership of your device. And we've talked about that a lot with other things, right? Of, you don't own what you pay for when it comes to like surveillance cameras like Ring, or just about any IoT device you can buy nowadays. Even your car, you don't even own your car anymore because there's software on there that the manufacturer owns and won't allow you to get around or change.
We heard a story today from one of our team members. Ford is going to charge to pop the hood on your car. You can't open the car without a subscription. One of the comments below said, "Challenge accepted."
I've been seeing a lot more of that. Maybe it's just because I've been saying it out loud enough that all of my feeds have been listening and figured out what I actually care about. But I've been seeing a lot more and more of how all of these new vehicles have been just getting rid of basic functionality, like all of these electronic doors. Like, what's wrong with us just having a handle to open the door? Because then if your battery, well, how are you going to get out of your car? And sometimes they have like the manual releases and all that stuff. Oh, it's just all of these things keep adding on top of another. Like, they're removing functionality.
You know what follows innovation?
Greed.
I don't know.
Lawsuits.
Oh,
Yeah, so there's a law that came into place. You know how if you try and open your driver's door, I'm not talking any of these electronic cars, you can open the door even if it's locked? You ever notice that?
From the
Try it
inside.
sometime. From the inside.
from the inside, yeah.
You can open your door even if it's locked if you're the driver. And that came about because of lawsuits. Detroit figured out that it's going to be more cost in litigation and payouts than it will be to just give a driver a quick exit to the vehicle, never mind if the door is locked. Because there could be any number of emergencies that happen that need a quick exit. Mm-hmm. So now, if the battery's, you can't get out. If the car's on fire, you can't get out. Like this does not make sense. There's going to be lawsuits, and it's going to be ugly, and people are going to get hurt. Not good. Yeah, but all this innovation. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it all ties back. It's all part of the same problem when we go to age verification. It's going back to that same root thing of, well, you no longer own what you paid for. Like that computer that you bought, in order to use it, you have to verify your age. And that means that there is someone else that is controlling whether or not that thing works that you bought, that computer or your phone or whatever.
Well, if you get into the letter of what is proposed right now, and I don't want to say the law word too much because the algorithm will deprioritize this. But hey, we've already gone down that bridge a few times. Check out other podcasts if you want to hear our thoughts there. Some of our episodes only get a couple dozen views, so go check those out. We definitely would appreciate the support. If you want to hack the algorithm, hit like and subscribe and help us push this message out. But Yeah, so putting your license into the system is a requirement. Putting this mechanism in place for you to use anything that has an operating system is a requirement of this new legislation. So that's cool. Fun fact, the Mars rover runs on Linux. The ones that are up there right now. Whose ID should we put on that? I guess technically the Vice President of the United States is in charge of NASA, so let's use his.
You bring up a good point. A lot of embedded systems run on Linux, right? Or like FreeRTOS or whatever you name it. I mean, those are all technically operating systems. So does that mean that every time you buy anything that it then has to do age verification?
Yes. The way it's written right now, yes. You buy an ESP32 little board that's $6 on Amazon. You have to submit your ID and verify it through the system. Whatever that system is, you must, or you're in violation of the law.
How about
dishwasher.
an Arduino, the thing that was made for kids?
Yeah.
But your dishwasher, your toaster, your air fryer, anything that's got an operating system built into it is going to require this BS.
As it's written now. I'm looking forward to this. Now, here's the cool part. So this law is going to require a mechanism just like the European Union. You have to use a third-party resource to verify your ID. Okay. What could go wrong with that, right? It's going to help centralize things so you don't have your Samsung dishwasher connected to your Kenmore washing machine upstairs and, relying on all those. They can all go to one central authority that is hack-proof, right? Because that's possible. Mike, is it hack-proof?
What's hack-proof?
The ID verification center that we're going to use? It's got to be, otherwise all our IDs are at risk.
Nothing is hack-proof. There's always a way in. There's always going to be some way in. Even if you think it's hack-proof, I mean, the fact that it's going to require access by something or somebody to be useful means that it can be hacked. Whether it's getting in through somebody's privileged account or social hacking to, turn somebody ransomware, supply chain. There's lots of ways.
Or how about this? Your kid comes up on you while you're taking a nap, shines your phone on your face to prove it's really you, to get into that gaming website so they can play Roblox or whatever it is they're going to play that day.
It's just ridiculous.
So
there's going to be that, and that's the thing, is that necessity breeds invention. There's going to drive a need for people that want to get in without playing by the rules. They're going to invent ways of doing it.
I mean, just look at Australia with their social media ban. I mean, how many teenagers are figuring out all of these ways to get around the system?
I'd venture to say all of them.
It doesn't take a PhD.
We know that there's a dark web out there that's providing, license keys, cracked games, cracked software, nefarious stuff left and right, know. And if somebody could come out and say, yeah, we've completely eliminated the dark web, well, that'd be great, but I doubt that's ever possible.
There's probably a way we could do this, but we'd have to get together and figure out this innovation together. And my concern is we're just jamming this in as a hard requirement, thou shalt have this happen as of tomorrow, it just doesn't feel like the right move. It feels like we should kick this down the road 5-10 years and say, on this day, sometime in the future, the mechanism must be in place, and then provide funding and resource and guidelines and, you know, whatever of technical people. Because right now you're looking at anybody that can steal your identity online. Happens all the time, right? You could do Wi-Fi man in the middle attacks. You could do, and this happens all the time, right? Your logins to your accounts get hijacked and stolen all the time. There's many, many ways. I don't want to go through all those ways here, but let's say there's 6 data points that are necessary by these ID brokers. So if you've got 6 data points that are necessary to prove that I'm John, you're Mike, you're Jackson, that's all you need to submit to that broker to prove it's you. Once those hit the dark web, anybody can be anybody. Then what have we solved?
Well, and then that worries me too, because we're tying this into the registration of a device, basically, right? And now your device, if that device is found to be doing something not legal, they trace that back to you. If somebody has used your stolen identity, that traces back to you. I mean, and there's instances where we see that even happening now, where your name was the last name on a registration or a title to a vehicle or something like that. You know, the law enforcement comes around asking you questions like, hey, you know, your name came up. Tell us a story. What's going on here? You know, and you have to explain it. And, you know, it's going to have to be more on us that if our identity does get stolen, we have to report it. But here's the problem. We have to know that our identity got stolen. And I think there's so many instances where our identity gets stolen and taken and used, and we don't realize it.
I'm gonna scare everybody just a little bit more. We have a presumption of innocence by virtue of our whole legal system, right? If your identity's hacked and added to a computer that does nefarious things, you have been logged on and proof positive that you did the hack. It's not up to you to defend yourself. You're guilty till you have your innocence proven. That's not justice. At least not the justice in this country. I don't like where this is going. It's just, this is not something that everybody should just take. I think we need to fight back on this hard. This does not end well. Question I would offer everybody is, what is this solving? What problem does this solve? And the answer is, I mean, push for this, guys. Push.
I've got an answer.
So, yeah.
What does this solve? It solves a bunch of the data gathering entities that exist in the world right now being able to circumvent COPA and get children's information so that they can start feeding them as soon as they hit the appropriate age to start serving them ads.
Well, see, that's where I'm at, is ads have been served to us spoon-fed. Like there's so many ways they're surveilling us. And guys, I remember we didn't add this to the roster, but I want to talk about it right now because Artie, you bring up a great point. Have you heard of surveillance pricing?
Mm-mm.
Artie, you're right on the right track. They want to know more about us so they can tailor not just the ads, but they can tailor the price. So if you're searching for Tabasco hot sauce or, you know, Rubik's Cubes or something, the system can know what's your interest level, what's in your bank account, what's it worth to you, and bump the price a little bit. Large corporations, I'm not going to call names because I don't want their legal department sending any letters to us. Large corporations have already been caught doing this surveillance pricing. Hey, gosh, there's a state that just said, I think it was Massachusetts, the state just said it's illegal to do surveillance pricing. So we're getting some pushback finally. But could you imagine going to buy a car and it's not the sticker price now? Go figure. But it's now like call for price or scan the QR code. And it knows that Jackson's looking for a Tesla car because he wants a battery operated car that locks him in the car when the battery. And it's not the price that your neighbor got it for. It's now $10,000 more because, well, you're Jackson.
Sounds like discrimination.
So I'm going to hack somebody else's ID, use their system to figure out how to buy the Tesla, and save $10,000.
Pretty much.
So the other big thing with the surveillance pricing that that's brought a lot of attention to it is that, you go into the grocery store and, person in front of you is buying the exact same thing, but they get charged like $10 less than you get charged because whatever card you're using to, like your club member card, you scan that, it'll give you the discounts for the items, but it will charge you a completely different price because you're a different profile.
Well, what's funny about this whole thing is that companies have been doing this with the government since forever. If a company sells something to the government, you can guarantee that they're just charging outrageous prices because they know it's the government and they know that it's not anybody else's money. And I mean, it's the same idea, but now it's being filtered down to everyone individually. Figuring out what you're willing to pay, what have you done in the past, how much can they squeeze out of you before you start to squeal.
It's an interesting technology that's been developed. And Artie, I think you linked it together nicely there, that they want to have a trace on everybody. Because if you can teach them young, and Facebook actually figured that out, if you teach them young, you'll have them for years.
And that's why Facebook is under investigation in many countries right now.
I can neither confirm or deny my support of that. But I think if they're under investigation, there's probably a reason. So, AI data center in Cheyenne, I want to just segue, unless somebody's got some final thoughts on this one. I want to try and keep a pace here. One of our concerns here in Cheyenne is water levels. I just found out the newest set of data centers going in have tried to solve that. They're closed loop the water. Let me say that different. They're closing the water loop so it doesn't leak out. They're not wasting it. They're recycling it.
About time. I mean, I'm surprised that this wasn't the original point. You would think it would be at least even more economical for the company that's making a data center if they don't have to pay a bigger water bill.
I will point out one thing. I follow a bunch of people who discuss this type of technology. No system is going to be 100% closed. It always needs to have an influx and a means of flushing out the things that will cause damage to the system. So you're looking at like, if you're above 75% efficiency on the closed loop system, that's good. It's better to get closer to 90, 95%, but nothing is going to be 100%.
Yeah, we'll see where they get. But I'm excited to know that it's actually a closed loop and not dumping water, and could be an interesting problem. Or not dumping water, but evaporating the water into the air, and it's gone because, well, we live in a desert. We don't need that water, right? Especially this year. Wow, it's dry. But let me ask you guys, what do you think the next evolution in AI is?
Hopefully it develops a malformed gene and that's my hope.
What do you think, Mike?
The
What do you think
next,
next evolution?
I
What's
have no
what's the next
idea.
product offering, or what's the next goal? I have an idea.
I want to hear your idea. I have nothing because I just try to use AI so little, except for, formatting and correcting my language or shortening, give me a summary of something, large language model type stuff. I'm really not
Network
that
Chuck.
interested in.
I watched a video from Network Chuck just recently.
Mhm.
He was using, I'm not going to call out any brands here, but he was using an AI system that has virtual PCs as part of its offering. It'll spin up a virtual PC and run whatever code you vibe code through it.
Mm.
It's super closed source. So with basic prompts, not one sentence, but with some basic prompts, his kid built a video game that looked a lot like Roblox just in a couple hours of coding. And I'm not talking writing code. I'm talking about interacting with the AI. He wrote his own games. He wrote a couple applications. I'm talking to people now that are using AI to write their own applications. I heard of somebody recently that wrote his own customer management software that runs just for him to manage all of his contacts. It's custom to him. I'm going to say the next evolution we're facing isn't what apps do I run? It's what workspace do I pay for to write the apps that I want for me. And I can write any app and I can modify any app to function the way we've got. You notice how you get into some of these cloud tools and toolbars are all of a sudden different, or that menu that you've been using for the last 3 years is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be worth a couple hundred a month for you to build your own playground, to make your own apps that never change unless you want them to change, and then they change the way you want them?
So here's the thing with that. I see what you're saying, and I agree with you to a certain point. But I think a lot of like where we've gotten to as a human race is people think of products and sell them to meet a need. And so I think
Yes?
like what's nice about it is we know what we want now, but we don't know what we're going to want in a year. And that's where
Yeah.
the developers of the applications that we download are, that's their job, is they're figuring out what it is that we want in the future. And a lot of the times, like you said, they make changes that we don't like. So I guess what I'm saying is I really like that idea of being able to make my applications my own way, but then I'm not going to necessarily have the creativity or the know-how. Well, maybe know-how is probably the wrong word. I'm not going to know what it is I want. Maybe. Sometimes I have to wait
So
for someone to show me, "Ooh, yeah, you know that thing that has been bothering you? Here's a solution to it."
that's what I'm saying. This isn't an application. This is the programmer equivalent of a holodeck. All these data centers that are going in, they're filling a need that doesn't really exist, and they keep pouring more compute and more engine and more ability, and they're just cranking these things together as fast as they possibly can for a demand that isn't there right now.
Yeah.
But they're trying to gin up that demand through some means of something. Why would they be creating 10x or 100x of the compute power that's necessary right now to do something in the future? Video was a thing. It could do video. Kick out a video in just seconds worth of processing. You're using an entire half of a data center to create a 10-second video, but you could do it. I think we're going to have an application holodeck where you walk in and say, I want this, I want that. And the different companies are going to sell different quality holodecks, different tool sets to create apps. different thinking abilities to create smarter apps, more capable apps, develop it faster, develop a faster linkage to other apps within your holodeck. That, I don't know, that's where I think it's going. But I want to have your guys' feedback on that.
I think it's definitely a very cool concept of like, and I feel like that taps into some of the things that Apple has done regarding their entire environment, right? So it's really cool that we might have this possibility of you get to make your own environment, and everything gets to kind of sing kumbaya, and everything works the way you want it to. But I'm still at that thing where it's like, okay, who's gonna be making the new ideas now?
Yeah.
Like for instance, my girlfriend was switch phones, and she was switching from Android to Apple, and she was upset because the budgeting app she used on Android, they didn't have the same one on iPhone. And I was almost saying, I was like, you could probably, like, a budgeting app's pretty simple, you could probably ask an AI model to make you one and something like that. So I was even just thinking about this week. Um, but yeah, I mean, I still think like, okay, well, what about those new ideas, things that have never been done before? The AI models aren't going to know how to do it. Someone's going to have to be creating these new ideas, and so then I feel like it might go back to that point of, well, I don't know. I think you'll either kill the creators because, say, a creator has an app, they'll make the app, and they spend all the hard work of renovating it, making it look better, making it function better, adding functionality. But then everyone's going to want their own kind of version of that same thing. So, yeah, maybe I really like that app, but I want to tailor it to myself. I have my AI go make their app. How does that person make a living? Because
You don't.
Yeah,
That's the problem. That's the problem I see. Is the software providers are out of a job. That's why I see this is my take on this. That's why I think all the big companies are pushing for having the largest compute centers so they don't lose you as a customer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's sad that I like don't want to lose that idea of, we'd be killing off all of the makers because there'd be no incentive to create, to go innovate, to go engineer something new.
Mike, you're quiet.
It's just, yeah, I've been thinking about like in a space like that, you could have some provide, it could be a shift for software companies to say, okay, fine, we now exist within this. Let's just say, let's pick Microsoft. You exist in the Microsoft space. You've got this sandbox or whatever. We provide templates of basic software packages that you can start from, because I think there will be a need. I think there will be people that won't want to put the effort even into generating some prompts. There's people out there that that have the mentality, I don't want to be the builder. I just want to have somebody give me something that just, boom, it just works.
Yep.
And so there'll be those providers to say, okay, here's the basic start package. Boom, it works. It does the basics. And then from there, the user could customize it or not and just use it as is. But then it gets into a question of, when improvements are made, who gets to keep those improvements? Do those improvements get to then go out to the rest of the same people who use that starter template? I don't see that that's being viable, because you could provide that template, but then other people will take it and evolve it into something better that then nobody's going to buy your template. Nobody's going to want that.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, that's kind of like how open source is because open source can take things like, this company made this thing, it's a proprietary thing, but they won't ever change it because they're just stuck in whatever. and they don't release the source code. So we're going to make our own competing product that's open source, and a lot of people are going to have input on it, and we make all these great features for it. But unless they structure it the right way, there's no money to be made in it, because a lot of open source is free and open source.
Yep.
And so it's freely distributed. I mean, they ask for the donations, but do they really get what's required to keep the team going on it? And so I do see it's going to be a hard thing for people to make money at doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The only person that's in control is that entity that owns that cloud space, that data center, that wherever that sandbox exists and however it exists, whoever has the control over that provides that ability, that's ultimately the person who's making the money. Nobody else inside of it is. They're just users, and they're just paying the bucks to use the space.
That's what I'm saying.
The problem with that is now you're reducing that control to just a very small number of people. And so then who gets to make the rules?
So here's the
it's
other
your
thing.
own sandbox. You can build whatever you want in your sandbox.
Here's the other thing with that. I feel like if that's the route that it goes down, I think there's going to be a lot more attention put on copyright and patent law, but in software, right? So
And
let's say I come up with a new
whole other
feature.
problem I have too, is that how do you answer that? So what's your idea?
Well, I mean, here's how I imagine
Jackson,
it would have
solve
to
it.
work. Yeah, right after I finish World Hunger. No, but I mean, the way I see it, the way this could only really possibly work, and you still keep innovation alive, and we have a semi-semblance of what we see today, is you have someone who creates a new feature or some sort of functionality, and somehow you have to figure out a way to make that copyrightable or be able to put that inside of a patent for software. But then, okay, so at some point an AI is going to scrape that code, and it's going to now be able to imitate that. So that person now owns the rights to that idea, or they own the rights to, like, I mean, how are you going to do it? Because code can be written a lot of different ways. So, I mean, I really don't know how you're going to be able to restrict that.
So here's a pushback on that thought. As much as I like the idea of patent owners getting royalties for great ideas and innovations, we're coming to a point where all music that could be created will have been created. All the progressions, all the chords, all the different structures and things, it's going to start getting derivative of each other, because every combination note that is enjoyable for the human ear will have been made. Whether it's 50 years or 100 years from now, whatever.
I'll argue with you on that, but probably not here on this podcast. But I think music is evolving, so I'll leave that there.
It is, but the fundamental notes and the arrangement of those notes, you've got like 15 notes going up or down through a measure, and then through the chorus. If you patent that, under pressure from Artie, what is that group? Vanilla Ice got sued into oblivion.
Queen and David Bowie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 notes. And it ended Vanilla Ice's career.
But you said all the music that is pleasant to the human ear. I think that's going to force humans to start developing tastes for things that were previously determined to be not pleasant.
I mean,
you mean
instance,
dubstep, just say dubstep,
right.
Mike.
There's No, I think that's right. Things like EDM is becoming a lot more popular, at least around my generation. EDM is becoming popular, which is like house music, which is kind of derivative of that and derivative of dubstep.
No, I'm talking music.
And but on top of that, there's this new group. It's like Engine du Poitrine. It's like a French group. I don't know how to say it right. But they're actually using microtonalities, which is, so like you said, if you got your 15 notes, They're using notes that are in between those. Like you said, yeah, there's this.
Mhm.
We've developed the scale, of notes and all of the fractions and multiples of those frequencies, and we've decided those sound good. Well, now we've got some bands and some artists are using microtonalities in their music, and I actually
Yes.
enjoy some of it. And I actually really like it. And so I think music is kind of evolving where, yeah, I think taste is changing, music is evolving with it, and new things are still being created.
So I'm going to
On that
counterpoint. I'm going to counterpoint.
Okay.
You have 1,000 artists a day publishing new content for the next 100 years. It's not all going to be brand new.
No, and we already know that
At
most
some
music
point.
sounds very similar. They all use the same 4-chord progression.
But
I mean,
That's-
there's all of
that's
that,
already
right?
that's already the story now, is because everybody has their stuff that they grew up with, that's an influence. I mean, I went to, or I've watched Garth Brooks, I think it was, is on a box set concert thing or something like that, that he says that he had certain influences, and that's what drove his music. And other musicians have said that too. And it's even something that interviewers will ask, who influenced you growing up? Oh yeah, I was listening to this band, and this was really big when I was a kid, and that's what I was influenced by. Now, do they make their music exactly like that? No, but they sure do have some elements that they've maybe worked into some of their compositions
No,
because
I'm
they
not talking
like that
elements. I'm talking
elements.
the patentable stuff.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that if Vanilla Ice only got in trouble because he went about it the wrong way.
Yes.
If he had done it the right way, he would have been able to use that riff.
Mhm.
And other people have used other riffs in other songs. And the only reason they get in trouble is just because they did it the wrong way, and they didn't give the credit, or they didn't give the royalty to
So that
whatever person. The problem with AI is that AI rips stuff from anywhere for any reason.
Oh no, I'm not talking AI. I'm talking just artists in general.
And I know is
100
that
years from now, all those riffs, all the progressions, all the notes, all the chords, everything will have been made, and you will owe money. If you sit down to be an artist, you will owe money to somebody that did that 50 years ago, 100 years ago, because you can't create anything new because everything has been made. That's what I'm saying.
but you're assuming that
Might even
that's
be sooner than that.
that's assuming that that's a finite limit to what can be created.
Because in
I think
right now we're seeing patents and the copyright law support the artist who created it, and the work that is ripping it off loses that court battle.
Yeah. I agree with you, John. I see what you're saying. The law as it stands now, and with current case law that has passed and happened, yes, I agree. After a certain point, we'll hit that point where anything you've made will be considered by law to have been made by someone else, even though there are infinite ways you could play it, or it could
Yes.
sound differently. Like everyone,
Agreed.
if you use an actual instrument and you're not just doing your digital production, you'll never get the same exact sound, because everyone will play it differently. And so, yes, in that sense, if you broaden that law to be able to encompass things like uh David Bowie and Vanilla Ice. I mean, that one's pretty direct, but there were even some songs where you listen to it and they lost a lawsuit against like Katy Perry or something, and you're like that doesn't make any sense. I wish I
Yeah.
knew the songs off the top of my head, but I know there are some where it's like, yeah, you can see how they've really broadened that scope to allow for someone who basically copyright a chord progression, even though that same chord progression could be played in infinite number of ways,
And that's what I'm saying, the patent law. So when we're talking software development, the reason I bring up the music stuff is it's well established that if it looks like and smells like the chord progression, it's a total ripoff. You owe the
Mhm.
original person. So if I get in and I make a Photoshop equivalent, never mind I'm copying GIMP, Adobe could come at me if I'm in my little holodeck of a sandbox, making my own Photoshop equivalent. They could come at me.
Yeah.
Now, I'm using it for personal use, but what does that matter?
Right. And that's the thing, is that I don't see that in our sandbox here, people are going to either download a template, like I said earlier, of just it already works out of the box. You don't have to do anything, no prompt needed. Or you then customize or build your own from scratch, whatever it is. The thing is, though, is that once it's in your sandbox, it's in your sandbox. And so for you to then, if you're going to make something that's going to be then distributed to other people, that's a different realm. And that's not what we were originally talking. We're talking that people are just going to make their own apps for their own use.
Yeah, but then you have a company like Adobe. Like if I'm able to go to like ChatGPT and say, hey, make me a Photoshop duplicate, Adobe's not going to be happy with that, and they're going to want to sue ChatGPT. Not me, because I mean I'm not distributing, but technically that AI model is distributing
because it made it available.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so now that's lost revenue.
And that's now, but that's what's going on right now, though, is because some AIs are providing actual content that is protected under trademark or copyright because they illegally scraped it.
Yep. Humans are the source of everything that's going into AI. Make no mistake. It's ripping off all of us.
Well, we can be also grateful that
really good
a lot of AI is scraping AI and it's getting the wrong information because it's scraping hallucinations.
What could go wrong?
Third generation
it's one of those
photocopy.
Right? Well, this is why I want to build my own offline system, so that if I'm building my own app, it's not open and available to, let's say, let's use the Adobe, because why not? Adobe wants to find out if how many people have developed their own graphic tools using Adobe's source code or source ideas, or like we're
now
talking
to violate my
chord
privacy.
progression. Well, that too, but we're talking chord progression in music. We're going to start seeing cadence of software. This software looks like the code that Adobe used 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Therefore, it's part of this. And then now I asked AI to make it, but AI made it for me. I don't want to be part of that. I want to have my own private sandbox offline. So you had the article there. Mac Minis are impossible to get a hold of.
Yeah. I was kind of like a little confused too as to why this was the device of choice. But I think it comes down to Apple Silicon. That combined with the natively a lot of these did have kind of rather large amounts of memory in them. So somewhere had up to like I think 128 gigs of RAM, or maybe the Mac Minis capped at 64. But there were a lot with 32 gigs and 64 gigs of RAM. Then you combine that with Apple Silicon, and you actually have a pretty capable offline AI system. And so it kind of became a thing. It's super popular, and now you can't find a Mac Mini anywhere. They're cheap too. Because I mean, they just didn't ever really sell for Apple anyway. Like, I mean, they were a very small amount of Apple's sales. I think it's 3% of Apple's sales were the Mac Mini. But yeah, I mean, if you consider all of the resales and the sales that they've gotten now, I think it's a lot more.
Yep.
So, I mean,
well, this is also why hard drives are insanely priced right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, everything has gotten more expensive.
And these large companies that manufacture this stuff have decided that they're going to stop selling to us normals and sell to the AI data centers because there's way more profit and there's way more potential of cash from those. I'm going to say that's going to dry up once venture capital stops feeding AI these hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. Once that happens, you're going to see what happened to like Uber and DoorDash, where it was cheap and now it's not because venture capital is not putting in. Now they want to suck their money back out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
AI is going to get priced to insane levels. So hard drives, Toshiba, you might like this one, Mike. A company bought a bunch of hard drives for a RAID. You know, you stripe together 10 drives. What happens when one drive?
Well, in a good RAID system, the system keeps working. You then get an alert says, hey, drive number 2 failed or whatever it is, and you replace the hard drive and it manages to heal itself to a full functioning system.
Yep.
If you've
What do you
done
do
it
with the
right.
dead? Let's say you did that. What do you do with the hard drive?
Well, you
Bought
assume
it
that
6 months
it's
ago.
you assume that something's happened to it, that it's failed and it's not good for use anymore.
What do you do?
Throw it away, destroy it.
RMA it,
Okay,
send it back. You get a warranty.
right.
Toshiba
Yeah, within the warranty period, yeah.
Toshiba just did this to a customer, unnamed customer. I want to be very clear on that. They took the drive, they analyzed it. Yes, it failed. Here's a refund. We're not giving you another hard drive.
Really?
Yeah. You know what happened in the meantime between the time of original purchase and the time of RMA? Drive
They
price
resold-
doubled.
Oh, yeah.
So you get your refund of $100, and now it's $300 to buy a brand new one because AI data center. That's rolling off the tongue nicely. AI data centers are just swallowing up all the RAM, all the hard drives from us consumers right now. So, moral of the story: if you want a hard drive, buy it now. Buy 2. You don't know if it's going to live, and you're not going to get a warranty out of it.
It's literally just like it just keeps getting worse and worse. Like memory was already enough. Like they already screwed us over with that, and now just a stupid hard drive is 2, 3, 4 times the price. It is so like angering and just sad, honestly, to think about. Like, and all of these effects don't really show up until a little bit later because it's not every day that an individual is buying a new computer.
Yep.
But here in 5 years, it's gonna suck a lot when you decide, hey, I finally want to build that server, or hey, I need to upgrade something, and everything is 5 times the price.
And that's where I see companies like us. We're going to get out of the mode of replacing. We're going to get back into the mode of repair. We're going to fix what's broken. We're going to incrementally repair what's damaged. If RAM goes bad, we replace the RAM. Processor, switch the processor. Don't buy a new computer because they're going to be prohibitively expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for us in the tech field, there's
Well,
a lot
hold on.
of
Don't forget,
Yep.
John. You're not allowed to do that anymore. You're not allowed. You don't own that PC. That's not yours. You switch out that processor. Oh, you're probably hacking the computer. You're probably a bad guy, so we're not going to let you do that.
Okay, I used your ID to verify myself with the computer, so
Oh, no, too bad. You have
They'll
to
come
do
talk
it
to you.
through Microsoft, through Apple, through Dell.
John Deere's
You're not allowed
computers.
to repair it. Yeah, John Deere. John Deere owns your laptop.
Wish that was a joke. Right to repair. It's an important thing. Fight for it. Speaking of fighting, Netgear successfully registered with the FCC. You can actually buy their routers and they will continue to have support.
For the next 18
We talked
months.
about this a couple of years ago. What's that?
It's for the next 18 months, just to be clear.
Yep.
Not indefinitely.
Not indefinite. It's going to be a perpetual thing. What I found interesting about this, if the router isn't listed, you can't get updates. How many home users are going to care? Well, they don't run updates now, but now you're blocked from getting updates. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong?
I thought the devices they made were unhackable.
You just go online, find the update, and apply it manually.
AI breaks into it. It's going to be an interesting time, guys. There's days I wake up and wonder, what did I do choosing to be in technology? But TP-Link is now fighting for position. They want to have a piece of the pie, right, Jackson? This was your topic.
Yeah, TP-Link is applying to the FCC to seeking exemption. They're saying that they're a U.S. company, which I find slightly laughable, seeing as how there was that whole debacle several months ago where the Texas Attorney General was suing them for like Chinese involvement and all that stuff, plus seeing as how the founders' names are most certainly Chinese. Most of the business is done in China. I mean, their argument is literally, well, we have a we have like a our center of operations is in the United States. Half our business is in China, sure, but we're American.
That is the American way.
Studio office.
Yeah, that is the American way. You know how many companies are registered in Delaware?
One desk, a little telephone on the desk.
Now, the thing that I find funny about this company applying for this, they have been cited many times in the past by various world governments as being the most compromised network adapters that you can get. And they don't fix the problems. They just sundown that device and move on to a new one. So it's very laughable that they are applying for this, and if they get it, I'm not even going to comment.
Then it's just like it deserves a big bruh from the government. They ban all like foreign made routers and then give TP-Link like an exemption. Like, come on.
It's going to be an interesting time.
But I mean, I would be curious actually about. I mean, we're talking about TP-Link who's applying, but I mean, I don't know anything about Netgear. I mean, where are they based? Should they have even? Are they deserving of the exemption that they got? That's probably the question we should be asking.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I mean,
I don't know what the criteria is.
There was a time not too long ago where we said everything's basically made in China. It's hard to find stuff that's not.
So it's not a matter of the company needs to be based in the US. It's a matter of it needs to be produced in the US. And nobody makes their routers in the US anymore except like 3 companies, and one of them only does like enterprise level stuff, and the other 2 are like made to order type stuff. So it's not mass produced.
And so the part of the requirement is you need a 5-year plan to bring the manufacturing back to the United States.
Yeah. I was about to say the same thing. There's the whole like cat's out of the bag. The FCC saying, "Oh, well, if you bring all of your manufacturing to the United States, we'll let you sell again."
Which, I get it. I mean, we're trying to keep in a global sense. having a global production center is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think trade is a good thing. I think, and I don't want to say anything about the world shutdown 5 years ago, because that happened. And we found out that there was a single place that made everything. And because they closed their doors, they went in lockdowns. We lost out on everything. We couldn't buy the basics anymore because nothing was made here in America, and you couldn't buy it anywhere else. I'm drawing a blank. The company that makes the iPhone, Foxconn, they had an entire town in China. And when I say town, I mean a city of millions of people. When Foxconn diversified, went to India and the Philippines to make the iPhone, that town turned into a ghost town. So I don't think it's right that it should ghost town, but I also don't think we should have all the eggs in one basket. We should have a diverse global infrastructure that provides everything that can survive lockdowns or moments of ill content between neighbors. I don't know. Just my thoughts. Love to hear everybody else's thoughts on this. I also love to hear everybody's thoughts on flock cameras. Let's bark up that tree for a minute. There's a new website I heard about. Have I been flocked?
And what does it tell you if you go visit that?
Jackson, go incognito on it. Don't let your browser trace it. And it's not that we care about going anonymous. It's that I want you to make sure that there's no lasting impressions if that site got hacked. Incognito is a powerful tool if anybody is curious. Have I been flocked was used, and I saw a news report south of us, Thornton, Colorado, one of their police force, his name was used to track 19,000 license plate requests over a course of a year and a half. The average was 25 license plate requests per day by one guy. And most of them didn't have a case attached to them.
I suppose that's possible for one person to do, but that is that every day for over what time period?
Year and a half.
Year and a half. I guess
Possible.
that's possible.
But
Sounds
here
like
was the
somebody got either hacked or the system doesn't actually really check if you're a real person.
the number one complaint is there wasn't audits and controls at the town level to prevent the abuse that is suspected at this time.
There should always be audits and controls for information like that.
Yes. And that's been my main contention. Like, we're not going to get rid of these license plate readers. I hate that fact. We're not going to get rid of them. But if we have the right guardrails and we have the right safeties and we have the right laws backing it up and we have the right consequence behind it, then it starts making sense. But then if you think about it, we're just giving eyes and ears to the AI.
I kind of wonder, with how vulnerable the flock cameras have been shown to be, I kind of wonder what kind of botnet somebody has built on them. That nobody's going to know about for a couple of years until it gets used against us.
Yeah, I mean, especially a device like that. Like, if it's on a botnet, like, who's gonna know? Like, unless you're really carefully monitoring what's coming in and out of that thing, then I don't think anybody's gonna find out.
Well, clearly are not, because of how easy they are compromised.
Mm-hmm.
Check out some other channels. There's some deep dives. There's some scary stuff. The one that got my blood boiling is there was a gymnastics facility. I don't know if we talked about it in the podcast. Gymnastics facility that had flock cameras, and there were people that didn't need to, tuning into those cameras all the time.
I don't know if we mentioned it here, but I do remember seeing something about that. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and like,
I would love some jail time for those people.
Yeah, I think some of the people were like, it was people on Flock's team, I think, and then other just random people that had access.
Yeah, like if you stumble across it once, great. That sure. You keep going back to it. Now I got problems. I'm questioning some ethics. I'm questioning some personal constitutions here. Like, make them go away. We need audits. We need controls. We need laws. We need consequence. Well, speaking of laws and consequence, time is working against us. I think we ran over time just a bit. Thanks, everybody, staying tuned in on this. Mike, I'm going to give you the last word.
Last word is, I'll say, just stay safe out there and keep track of where your identity is going. Do some credit checks every now and then and change your password every so often.
Freeze it up in 2-factor, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, like and subscribe if you're still with us. Love to hear your comments on these subjects. Pushing it on this will help this content get out to the rest of everybody else. And if you found value in it, we'd love to know. Till next time, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
I'm Jackson.
Since we ran over time, I'm putting the car in reverse to hit it again.
Don't make me come back there. Good night, everybody.